I'm Christian Abbott.
I'm Nathan Lavender.
I'm Sean Abbott, and this is the Red Mist Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Red Mist Podcast, Season 3, Episode 37. The Jackie Chan DC Racing Orica 07 LMP2 car ran in the 2018-2019 season in WAC. How's that?
That's a good one.
That's good. It's better than... It's the only thing I could find that wasn't NASCAR.
37.
37.
No, I'm getting that mixed up with the 27 Aston Martin that runs in IMSA right now. Yeah, I don't know many 37s.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
I know. Anyway. All right, on tonight's episode, we'll talk NASCAR at Bristol, under the lights, elimination race. Talk Formula One in Singapore, and then we'll talk IMSA, the battle at the Brickyard. 6 hours of fun.
6 hours of
and
wet.
A damn good race.
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
I thought it was. I don't know if anyone else did.
No, I thought it was a very good race. I mean, it was just some cautions, but it is what it is at that point.
Then we have a whole slew of news and notes to discuss. A lot of stuff broke after our episode last week.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
For once it's giving us stuff to talk about and not just us speculating half the time.
I don't know if anything of it. I'm not quite sure if any of our stuff came to fruition. But, anyways, all right. So let's start with NASCAR. This is going to be a brief one, and even if NASCAR Nate was here, he'd admit it's going to be a brief one. Because this one was utter domination by one Kyle Young Money Larson, who won all 3 stages, took the win, and advanced. There was, little drama other than, Larson just makes a pit stop, gets to the front again, and that's it. On the unfortunate side of the fence, Martin Truex did not make the cut due to a pit speed lane violation, and Bad Brad did not make it. Nate's in mourning.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's really all I got to say there. I don't really have too much to say other than that. So.
I didn't watch the race. I heard there were stats of they had the longest green flag running in a long time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. There was complaints about the tires and stuff. The only one that seemed to master it was Young Money.
Okay.
Didn't have a complaint from him all night, so
yeah,
I'm going to go with that.
And then was there did he put out a thing or a tweet about how last year's race was more of an exception of how crazy
he did.
The tires were?
Yes,
and that this is actually more of what it used to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he also ended the tweet by saying, "We're running spec cars."
Yeah, good point.
So anyways, let's move on to the championship here. So we had the round. So wasn't this was an elimination race, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. This was the last race of the first round,
Yeah. So
and I've somehow
who's
paid
out? So
enough attention to that.
so it's four drivers, right? Because we're down to 12, right?
Yeah,
So Gibbs is out, Truex, Keselowski, and Harrison Burton.
I don't,
Oh yeah, they are out.
I don't
The
really,
points are adjusted. There we go.
I don't think I like the fact that I have more knowledge on NASCAR now.
I know it's frightening.
It is.
So our top guy right now is Kyle Larson, followed by Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Blaney, Denny, Chase Elliott, Logano, because he had a win. That's why he's still in. And I'll tell you this, Mr. Rally right here himself. Actually, two guys that rallied: Austin Cindric and Daniel Suarez. They were deep in trouble during this race.
Mm-hmm.
Rounding out the top 12, it's Bowman the Showman and Chase Briscoe.
All right.
So that's our top 12. So on we go to Kansas. So very excited there.
For the Kansas wind.
Yep. All right. So that covers NASCAR. Brief. It was good. I like this. You know, there was no there was no gimmick at the end of the race either.
No.
They actually raced.
Oh. Yes.
You know? So,
all right.
anyways.
So points for them.
Points for them. All right.
I think I jinxed the stat.
You jinxed the stat. All right. All right. Let's move on to Formula One. And no offense to our winner here, but in an equally boring race, Lando capitalized on having pole. Max held court, having taken second place, and followed by Oscar.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we had Russell, Leclerc, Lewis. Lewis rebounded big time. It was not a good week for Lewis. So
no, he was able to.
Congrats on that.
To work his way back up.
Yep. Then followed by Carlos, Fernando, the Hulk scored points for Haas, and then Sergio. Well done. Another 10th place finish.
I'm sorry. Lewis had a bad weekend?
Well, he didn't.
Because he qualified third.
Yeah, he qualified third, but he didn't get it together until qualifying.
Oh.
It was one of those weekends. Like he just, it wasn't like he was third. He was third in qualifying. He was third, but like the whole rest of the weekend, he wasn't really.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, as far as the race went, I mean, he dropped back down to 6th. So
right.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Russell passed him because Lewis didn't have the pace, and then the Ferraris worked their way back up.
Yeah.
So. Because they got caught out in qualifying.
Yep. So.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. They didn't get caught out. They screwed up in qualifying.
Yeah, well. Anyways, so. I will say this. One of my drivers of the race was Colapinto.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he finished 11th. I think that was more out of fatigue than anything. But he was on a charge from the start. I think he kind of smoked the tires a bit, in that first stint. But overall, I again another great drive by him.
I mean, he finished 11th, but it was only Perez, Hulkenberg, and Alonso that were in front of him of
Right.
like
Yep.
the best of the rest. And Perez screwed up in qualifying, so that
And Perez, it took him forever to get by him
yes, yeah. So it
with a far superior car.
right. So I mean that's the other thing too of like it. Yeah, Hulkenberg and Alonso got by him, but like as they should, they're
Yeah.
more experienced and they have the better cars. So I would have expected them to make way on Colapinto, but
Right.
what a start he had. I mean, he
Yep.
just chucked it in there and made up what like 3 or 4 places right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Albon was not amused by it.
no, but I mean Albon on
Didn't have much of a race.
no, he didn't. I mean, he pretty much saved face by retiring early.
Yeah.
So he's that's definitely a talking point of how.
Yeah. I mean, up front, the only real issue was Lando taking I think some risks, but he had a couple close calls. He had the slight wing damage, and then he sort of nipped the wall a bit.
Mhm.
Other than that, I mean, Lando did a great job of running, and Max basically dragged that car for all weekend long up, to keep it in second. So, well done to him.
Yeah.
And Oscar with a fine race as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Oscar's only mistake was just from qualifying where he wasn't able to
Yep.
get ahead of the Mercedes.
Yep.
Because other than that, he was definitely in a car and could have easily finished second had he been a row ahead. So
Right.
um,
And then we had what, and this I think we'll talk about later in the news. Ricciardo got called in and got fastest lap. So
mhm.
that's led to a whole list of controversy because my guy Zach doesn't like that.
Yeah, but didn't you see that him and Horner made up on the podium?
Whatever. Zach, just shut up.
I think it's
Everything with him right now is him just getting involved in everything, and it's getting really annoying. I like the guy, but now it's just like everything's a complaint.
Well, I mean, when you get to the top and you start having a good car and you need excuses other than we messed up. I mean, you got to go searching for something. I mean, it's the same thing with Red Bull and talking about McLaren's mini DRS. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
right.
Is it right? Maybe not. But if it's been going through tech inspection and and they've been deeming it legal, then good on them.
So the only thing they've done with them is they had to stiffen it a bit. Is that what they had to do over the weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that it cannot flex nor move as much as it has been.
Okay.
So by stiffing it up, you're not letting it move as easily, because it's because the wing in itself is very long. You can have you can have that be the case. So and plus it also depends on where they're stiffening it up, and and where they put the weight on it. I mean, if they put it on the leading edge and the underside of the wing, then that will move the weight, or I'm sorry, that should lower its center of gravity, and then again also, and then just stiffen it up as a whole. If they're putting another layer of carbon fiber or just tape in general on the thing, so it should help keep it down. But I mean, again, like if the air traveling underneath the wing is generating enough force that it's still pushing the wing the leading edge up, then they're still getting that effect. I think not so much the leading edge going up. I think it's the flex of the rear wing and how much it moves down, because I mean this is something that Red Bull was doing the past couple of years.
They would, right.
So I mean, like this isn't these flexi wings, they're nothing new. It's just it's what is allowable by the FIA, and if they even notice it. But I mean, they're not. No one's noticing this until you have these onboard cameras pointing at all of them. Because if you never had these certain camera views of the rear view one that you can sit there and have a fixed point and reference of how to measure it, and then same thing with the camera that is up on the nose, but it's behind the front wing, so you can see the front flaps move. I mean, everything will flex like that, but it only takes someone who really wants to spend there and look at the time and see the advantage that they're getting. And then again, like, it only really comes out how much they're exploiting when you go to a super low downforce track, because you spend the amount of time to look at all this stuff and compare top speeds, because there's plenty of time to do it. With a high speed, a high downforce track, they'll move, but you want the downforce more than not. So it's not as advantageous to have it trimmed out if the balance of the car is shifting too much. So, anyways, that's the technical rant.
Gotcha.
All right. I think it's very innovative. I would rather these teams actually keep it, and then you can keep talking about it, because I think stuff like that's really interesting. Like, even going back to Mercedes's DOS system, I thought that was cool. And that was like a really obvious and blatant thing that you don't get to see on a lot of F1 cars today. Like, most of this stuff is hidden, like the flexi wings or mini DRS. That's been the talking point of late. Like, but again, like, that's I wish in general F1 would talk more about this kind of stuff, and that's what I really miss from Steve Matchett when he was a commentator and had all of his connections in the pits, because you got to talk to all the mechanics and engineers about what they're doing, what you're seeing, and how the car is developed and progressed.
Like on the F1 TV broadcast, it only gets close when Sam Collins is doing it.
Right.
Occasionally Sam's at the race. Most of the time he's at the F1 TV studios, but he's working he's working his sources to find out what's going on, and he sends if it's Buxton or Alex Brundle or whoever down, but they can talk about it, but Alex more so than Will probably, but I mean, Sam really understands the most about it.
Right. Which has definitely been a favorite segment.
I like that stuff. Yeah.
But
like
they got to do more.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, because that's like in race, Matchett would bring that up, but he would also be, piping his sources in the paddock and stuff. So
But I mean, on another point, like, that is what makes F1 really interesting and special in its own place. Like, a lot of other series have technology, but like, look, if you're gonna say that F1 is the pinnacle of racing and it's the pinnacle of technology, of how they go about stuff, like, then market it. It's not just it's got hybrid engines and batteries or what and all that stuff. It's like no. Like, there's a lot of other stuff that's cool that goes on, away from just the powertrain side of things.
Yep. No, that's true.
Not that the powertrain stuff isn't cool, but again, like, 10 cars show up on the grid with all 10 completely different concepts.
Yep. Oh, 100% right. All right, let's take a quick look at the driver's standings. Lando is 52 behind. Then we have Charles, who's 34 behind Lando. Piastri is 8 behind Charles. There's a drop off of 47 points there. Carlos, and then 16 points to Lewis, and then Russell, and then Sergio. If somehow he could make a 11-point charge and overhaul Russell, that would be a phenomenon. After that, it's a complete drop off. It's like Fernando's next, followed by Hülkenberg.
Well, hold on. That's the interesting point.
What?
Hülkenberg is ahead of Lance Stroll.
We'll get yes. Well, yes, because they get the same points, but what's it based on?
So if you're tied on points, it's whoever the tiebreaker is. Whoever has the highest finish.
Gotcha.
And if you're if you both have had the same highest finishing position, then it's the one with the most number of finishes in that position. Yeah. And then but like for them, it looks like their highest finish was both sixth place, but Hulkenberg has finished in sixth twice, whereas Lance has finished once in sixth. Yeah. So that's where Hulkenberg gets the tiebreaker. Having said that, if Hulkenberg only had one sixth place finish, then the next tiebreaker is you would go to your second highest finishing position, which in that case, if this is hypothetical, but if you had to go to that, then Lance would have 2 sevenths at that point, so then he would be higher than Hulkenberg if he didn't have a second sixth place. But anyways, that's going down that rabbit hole.
Gotcha. All right, on the constructors' side of the fence, McLaren is leading 25 by 41 points.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari is 34 behind, and then we have a significant drop off to McLaren. Then we have Mercedes and Aston, and then RB is 34, Haas is 31. So that's right now, that's a tight battle, followed by Williams at 16 and Alpine at 13, and Sauber has not scored any.
Yeah.
So, all right. And for our next race, we get some time off here. We don't race until mid-October.
Yeah.
October 18th. The weekend of the 18th to the 20th. We'll be in Austin. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to IMSA. Probably the more exciting of all three races this weekend.
Yes.
And this was over a 6-hour period.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the best thing about sports car racing, changeable conditions. As we had dry, rain, dry. So I thought that made for an exciting race. And we had a very, very surprise result this weekend.
Yeah, we did. It was, I mean...
And I will say this, a much-needed result.
Yes, yeah.
And this continues, this makes roll from the WEC series where they had a second place at Fuji. Mm-hmm. BMW took a 1-2 here at Indianapolis with Philip Eng and Jesse Krohn winning, with Connor D. Filippi and Nick Yellowly second. And then Porsche was third, the Penske car. Fourth was the JDC Miller car. And then fifth was Delatraz and JT. Followed in sixth by the other Wayne Taylor car of Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor. Car of the weekend, though, was the Lamborghini.
Yes.
Well, actually, two cars. BMW and the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Surprise. But I will say this. The JDC guys and the Proton guys with their Porsches are starting to equate themselves quite well. So privateers in this class do work. And I will say this, the Lamborghini is coming. It's making strides. It ran up front this weekend, qualified well. Unfortunately, I think they got tagged in an incident. So had an issue there. So tough one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bit unfortunate for them, but overall, great performance. So to see the speed and progression for them, I'm sure a lot of it has helped with a few more races under their belt on the WEC side, and then any feedback that they've been able to take from that and apply it to this car over here, because this one hasn't run since Watkins back in June.
Yep.
And even before that, did it make an appearance at Daytona or Sebring?
Might have.
Okay.
I
Probably
want to
Sebring, maybe not Daytona.
I think it's Sebring. It didn't go to Daytona.
Yeah.
The other. Oh, go ahead.
No, so I mean, for them, it's 2 months off that they've had in between the last race and this race. So that's definitely a lot of time to get some more miles under their belts on their own, and come back with a bit more knowledge.
Right.
I guess the only downside of the race was, about 30%, almost 30% of the race distance itself went under yellow. I don't know.
Yeah.
There
was one for weather,
but
there was one for weather. But yeah, there were just incidents throughout the race.
Yeah.
The LMP2 race, TDS took the win, followed by the Inter Europol guys, and then followed by the Aero Motorsports guys, which was Connor Zilich, Brian Diel, and Merriman. Connor Zilich running his 800th race and is approaching Kyle Larson with the number of races run this year.
Jeez.
He came from he was at Bristol Thursday night and came to the track on Friday to practice. So,
man.
Then we had GTD Pro. It was did Rexy win this or Roxy?
Rexy.
I think Rexy.
Yeah,
Rexy won.
I didn't see Roxy.
I thought Roxy ran.
Yeah.
Spike ran too.
Yes. Or no, didn't they say they were going to have Roxy for Petit?
Hold on, I'm just double checking to see if Roxy was there.
Because I didn't see a pink car driving around.
Bear with me. We are checking. Yeah. No, you're right. It was Roxy. Then followed by a great outing for the Ford guys, the Mustang guys. Rockenfeller and Ticknell took second, with Garcia and Sims in third. So that was GTD Pro. In GTD, the Wright Motorsports guys with their Porsche took the win, followed by the Turner guys, and then followed by the Mercedes from Kordoff. So that was pretty diverse. Once again, the GTD field makes it spread it out. So good to see.
I did find the amount of yellow time, and it was about 2 hours 20 minutes. The race was spent under yellow. There was one yellow that was out for almost an hour.
That was the rain event.
Yes. So that was,
and it was heavy.
Yeah, it was pretty much the entire second hour of the race.
Yes, it was.
So I mean, aside from once that one went through, then it was an hour and 10 minutes was the next running. And then it was just some quick sprints from there. So.
All right. That takes us on to the season finale.
Yes, Petit
Le Mans.
Yes.
October 9th and 12th. So they're off at least almost a month as well. Before we get to that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be racing in IMSA before we go back to F1.
F1, that's right. So that I'm expecting a large turnout. So that'll be fun. We'll talk more about that when we get to it.
Yeah,
All right.
and not only just the season finale for the whole year, but also for the Endurance Cup.
Endurance Cup, and then also any support series that will also be last events. Although this weekend was the last for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, as they head to Spain for the World Finals.
Ooh, oh, we're in Spain.
So Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay.
I think.
All right. Very
I
cool.
know. You can find that on YouTube. It's always fun. That's a good
Yes.
weekend event. I like that.
The support races at Petit Le Mans are going to be the MX5,
Oh, good.
VP Racing Sports Car Challenge, so the LMP3s
Yep.
and GT4 cars.
Yep.
Two
Michelin Pilot.
45-minute sprint races, Michelin Pilot, and also Porsche Carrera Cup.
Oh, that's great, because then are they running at Coda?
The Porsche Cup series.
Yeah.
Checking.
Hold on a second. I'm going right there right now. Hold on. We're checking.
They're next. Oh, they are going.
Yes,
to Coda,
they are.
Right?
That's their last race.
Yes, but it's a week after.
Oh.
Petit Le Mans.
Oh. No, let's hope we don't wreck the cars, boys.
That's actually not a bad schedule. They went.
No, it's
Sebring, not. Sebring, Miami, Montreal, Watkins, Road America, Indy, Road Atlanta, and then Coda. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, it's in Jerez.
Oh, all right. That will be good, actually.
Yep. That'll be fun. Oop, what happened there? Hold on a second. I wish they would just make the oh
my God, could they make the Mustang Challenge schedule any harder to find?
That's what I was just talking about.
Oh my God.
Holy hell.
I've found it, but it is such a challenge. Jeez.
All right, so they run their last. This season overlaps. It's 2 seasons.
2 years.
2 years. It goes to Laguna. Oh, actually, maybe it doesn't. Oh no, it kicks off the 2025 season. So the final Mustang Challenge race is October 2nd and 4th in Indianapolis. Oh, that's part of the GT 8-hour.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Took
crazy.
forever to find.
Hold on, not the Ferrari Challenge. This ought to be even worse.
No.
Oh, great. No, I have to get like this huge graphics package that comes up. Mm-hmm. It's like North America.
North America.
They'd probably go the prancing horse pops up every 5 minutes.
They're probably going to Mexico.
So their last race in the States is already happened.
Oh, it did? Oh, okay.
2 weeks ago. A week ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Now they go to Imola for the Finale Mondiale.
Ooh.
Which is fun. That's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
That's not a bad series to be in.
All
right.
I wonder what the support race is at. Oh, no, duh. That makes sense. So the Porsche Cup Series is a support race for F1 at Coda.
Yeah, and I think there's a Formula 4 race, F4 race, USF4 or something.
Is there an F4 or is it the F1 Academy?
Uh,
Anyways, okay, so there's F4 cars there.
yeah.
And then is F1 Academy also Mexico City's uh, support race there?
Don't know.
I don't think there's any support races at Vegas.
No, there is. Something's running there.
There
What the
is?
hell's running? There is. There is something running there. I don't know what. They announced it.
Because that is a desperate addition that
Oh, that is just a long weekend
something.
of nothingness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's move on to news and notes. Just staying in IMSA. The entire GTP field, so they except for the duplicate cars, were removed and impounded.
Yeah.
So IMSA's doing a balance of performance after the race.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
again, in fairness, I mean they've had a ton of testing time at Indy,
yep.
and then you got your last race of the season coming up. So
I have no problem with this. So gonna just be on the up going into Petit Le Mans.
Mm-hmm.
Today it was announced that Wayne Taylor Andretti will continue in GTD with Car Maselli and Danny Formal in the Lamborghini for next season. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that covers, I believe, the sports car news. Hasn't been any driver things going on yet. All right.
No, other than just if Ricciardo is going to stay or not.
Right. So in IndyCar, also all sorts of driver stuff happened last week. Rinus VK is no longer part of Ed Carpenter Racing.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised by that.
Yep. I didn't really know what to make of that.
Yeah. I have to think that might be Rossi going there. Because also on top of that today, ECR announced that they had a new partner join the ownership group.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if that brings extra money to facilitate paying Rossi.
Yeah. So then is Rasmussen staying then?
It sounds like he is.
Yeah.
Sounds like he is.
Hmm.
And then we talked about Callum Ilott being named at Prema last week. So trying to think what else. Oh, IndyCar news. Other IndyCar news. Logan Sargent will be getting a test with Myers Shank Racing coming up at the Thermal Club.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess their race season is over, so they can go test wherever they want. But
it was
definitely a odd venue. I think to choose for that, but
right,
it is what it is. We'll see if it we'll see if it amounts to anything, because I've also seen news of he might not even have a seat for next year, but
right.
That's all depending on who gets the charters, right?
Oh yeah, I don't. This next week. Let's talk about that next week.
Okay, all right. We'll save the charters up
because this is I don't there's I don't know. There's guys out there that deserve rides, and there's guys out there willing to bring sponsorship for rides, and now we're going to limit the field. So we can talk about this next week.
Yeah,
I'd like to talk about this more in depth next week.
Okay.
Share my thoughts on it. Also, give me a chance to read some more on it.
Mm-hmm.
NASCAR. We had a trade.
Yep, because it's just like the NBA.
Yeah. No, just like it.
Mm-hmm.
We have Corey LaJoie is moving on to Rick Ware Racing. And Justin Haley is moving on to Spire. So they're basically changing drives. Management news. Ty Norris is leaving Trackhouse and moving over to Collie to run the shop over there. I think that was that's put. I mean, Trackhouse is in a good spot, so I think it's a good time for Ty to move to another operation that's up and coming. So I think that's really that I don't see anything going to be making that something's wrong at Trackhouse. I just think it's just an opportunity.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk F1. Danny Rick. Is he gone?
Based on all of his buddies, like his friends that were in the paddock, giving him a send-off, and then also
the team.
Not the team. His his social media profiles do not say F1 driver on them anymore. I would probably lean to say that was it for him.
So unfortunate, I feel.
I was it coming someday? Yes. I don't know how much longer Ricciardo was going to stick around.
Yeah, I'm like at this point, he's not wrecking cars at the rate Sargent was wrecking them and not getting the results. But at the same point, I mean, Ricciardo, being a veteran driver, does deserve to see out the season.
Yeah, and I think just not having this odd unknown of what's going to happen, because it doesn't even seem like anyone in the team is going to tell him what's up. But I mean, again, like the other thing too is this could just be all speculation. Who knows? That
I mean, my feeling is if you're going to cut him short, right? Do it after Austin, because I mean, it is almost his second home race. I shouldn't say that. Most races in the U.S. are a home race to him outside of Australia. So I don't know. I'm just
even not so much even Austin, but I would have given him Austin and Vegas. Like if the rumor is that Lawson is supposed to get 5 races in the car this year.
Yeah.
And if that is any 5 races, then I would have just picked the races that you didn't want to put Ricciardo in, and then put the races in that you're going to be able to market yourself.
Or get to Mexico, Chuck Perez, move Yuki up, or move Daniel up. Let him run out the season in the Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Actually, give Yuki the ride in the Red Bull. See what he could do, and then have Daniel and Lawson finish up the season there. I mean, because honestly, Perez is gone after this season. There's no question on my mind.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, I don't really want to speculate too much because all of this could just blow up in our faces anyways. Because Red Bull just
Right.
does whatever they want,
Yeah.
whenever they want.
Yeah. No,
Which I
that's
mean,
good.
like I don't totally disagree with because they've been cutthroat about this for years about
Hmm.
their driver program, and clearly it's worked to develop and find some talent. Um,
Yeah.
but so I'm not giving them an excuse for being nasty or anything like that. But like I don't really want to speculate too much on it because this is how they operate, which is
Yep. Oh,
if
100% agree.
you get involved in this program, then you know about it. So you go in aware of the fact that you could lose your seat at any minute.
Right. No, that's a fair point.
But on the flip end too, like I think these past couple of weekends have shown that the new guys aren't as bad as what everyone thinks because for the past few years everyone's been hedging bets on the veteran guys, and it's getting to the point of like, all right, maybe the next generation has to come in.
Well, and the other thing is, again, it's showing the need. If there are teams that want to come into F1, we got to bring them in
Mm-hmm.
because we're seeing too many F2 champions sitting out seasons without rides. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
It really is. So, I mean, and maybe that can be all part of the conversation next week because I feel like the restrictions on letting teams in F1 is relevant to this charter system that's going into IndyCar, and at a time when both series there's a flush with drivers who can come to teams, but there's not enough cars. You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's you want to see more people involved, and then also like it does. Um, yeah, it just stinks that there's not more cars and rides available for the
Yeah,
talent
yeah,
that's coming up. So I mean, and I know
yeah.
that there can always be a conversation of if you keep adding more cars, like you're gonna just extend the conversation further out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, but if you're really in this point of uh, this point of time where there's a lot of quality drivers that can distinguish themselves and get into the field, then yeah, you want to open up some opportunities and let them come in to see if they have it. I mean, like there's clearly elite drivers in F1, and then there's clearly some drivers that aren't there, whether it's because of the car or they've been able to navigate with money rather than talent.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Yeah, I 100% agree.
but that's all of racing in general. So that's not just F1. There's plenty of people that I'm sure who
Yeah,
I'm
and you can't just go and say, well, there's tons of rides in WEC because honestly, there really isn't.
no, there's not.
Until we get a new manufacturer, which could be Hyundai, um, you know that that's probably the best we could do.
Right. I mean I think the biggest issue right now is the fact that your F2 champions are not being promoted in F1.
Yeah,
And look, I know Nick DeFries was a flop. However, um, he didn't get to start in F1. Uh, where is it? Yeah, he didn't start in F1 until 22, and
yeah,
he had won the championship in 2019. Um,
right.
so he's he was out for 3 years, and then uh, I mean Mick Schumacher got into F1 pretty much the season after, um,
Yep.
won in 2020 and then was promoted into 2021, so which was good for him. Um, Piastri won in 21, and then uh, got into McLaren last year. So I mean, again, like he was, definitely on the fringe. But I think out of all of these past champions, I think Piastri is the exception where he was above and beyond the rest of the grid.
Gotcha.
Just in terms of his talent and also the fact that he came in and won in his first year, whereas Drugovich had a couple years and Pourchaire had a couple years as well in F2.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the other thing is you're not seeing some dominance of a few young guys where they just come in and do really well. Because I mean I'll be honest, like Yuki was definitely a questionable promotion at the time because in F2 he didn't really wow me all that much. And same with Joe Guan Yu.
Yep.
Just wasn't impressing me like how Piastri impressed at the time, or even Leclerc back when he was running. I mean, I know Russell had the same amount of wins in the season that he won as well, but again, like there is a you do see certain talents that rise up and really show how dominant they are in a season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Drugovich, nothing against him, but I mean, it took him 3 years to win in F2.
No, that's true. That's true.
Not that he was doing bad. I mean, he finished in the top 10 for all 3 years, and for both years before he won. So yeah.
Do you want to talk about Sweargate?
Sweargate. The FIA need to watch their mouths.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's really dumb on their end.
I really think Max handled it so well. It was awesome.
He did, and that's and he's doing it. You
exactly.
You can tell the maturity and experience as a veteran in F1 is coming around, and even Lewis was making notes of him. Like,
well, yeah, because I think Lewis is like, I mean, Lewis made the first comment, which I think is right. It's like I thought that wasn't really the best,
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then Max gets caught just saying it off the cuff. It wasn't even, And it's like, Jesus, it's like these guys can, I don't know. It's, but I thought Max handled it 100% better than he could have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and at this point too, he's already stated that he's not going to be in F1 forever. So he clearly has other stuff he wants to do, and I mean,
I don't think his,
like he can go do whatever he wants.
Like, look. He's won the drivers' championship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's I don't think he's on a quest to try and win, the number that Lewis has won. But he's gonna drive until he's done, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially with the way the rules are written now, like with the cost cap and everything like that, it's going to be harder. For teams to have that dominance that they did. And I mean, granted, like, last year Red Bull hit it out of the park and went nearly perfect. But I think having a season like we are now, did it get boring last year? Sure. But is this year a good reminder of how incredible a feat of that is? Of course. I mean, I think that's the other thing too. I know Lewis and his run with Mercedes and Mercedes in general from 2014 to 21 or 20 was as dominant as they were, which was great. But Ferrari and Red Bull were always up there trying to beat them, and did take some wins out of them.
Right.
At least three or five times every season. So there were races where Mercedes weren't dominant.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, he's definitely got more ambitions than just winning an F1. So whatever it is, good luck to him. And if this is an easy way for him to say he's done with it a bit earlier than he would have liked to, then you know what? I think he's content with it, and we'll just go do whatever it is he wants to do next.
I agree. All right. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So we have no picks for this week. So
no, I mean
so we'll have to wait a bit for that.
Yeah, NASCAR's at Kansas.
Kansas.
Right? Okay. Yep. They're at Kansas this week, and then MotoGP's in Indonesia this week.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I just have it on my schedule. I haven't kept up with it at all, but maybe these next 2 weekends are a time to catch up on that.
Yep, and we can have a potpourri discussion next week.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I think the only I'm sure there's a reason with the way that F1 started their schedule this year, trying to get the Middle East races done when they did, because of the holidays over there. But I mean, to leave a gap like this in the schedule is, especially after coming off the summer break only a month ago. It's kind of ridiculous. So I mean, you take 3 weeks off in the summer, at the end of the summer, and then you go racing for a month, and then you get another month off, pretty much. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of the drivers enjoy this. However, I would rather the season end a month early than get delayed like this for another month.
Yeah.
Because again, the other thing out of this is, what this gets back to is a point I know we've touched on before, but F2, where are they? So they last raced in Baku, and then they don't race again until they go to Qatar.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a month and a half that they have off, and they used to, and because Qatar wasn't on the schedule before, they used to go pretty much from Monza. It was at the time, because Baku is now later in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They used to go from Monza, which was in the middle of September, to Yas Marina being the last race, and that is now the first weekend in December. So I mean, again, it's 2.5 to 3 months off that a series has. Yeah. So that's frustrating to me personally. But I know it's what you sign up for a series like that, and I wouldn't, if I was racing that series, I probably wouldn't be complaining too much, because I'd be the one actually driving. But it is just odd, and can easily get you out of your mojo if you're not racing on a regular schedule. I mean, I know if you had a monthly race like how WEC does it, pretty much, fine. I mean, again, like you plan for it and you go for all that, but yeah, I mean, just from a driver mentality and trying to keep sharp, like, you got 2.5 months and you're not doing a thing other than probably going karting for these guys, like,
right.
I mean, I guess that's what would make that last weekend in F2 really interesting, because everyone would come off 2.5 months, so who's got the most rust to knock off kind of deal. But yeah. Anyways, I digress.
I
got nothing else to complain about. That's where my life is. I have nothing better to complain about other than a huge 2.5 month gap in the F2 championship. That's what I'm complaining about.
F2 championship. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Not even.
All right.
I don't even get myself sucked into the NASCAR truck or ARCA.
Don't tell Nate that
stuff. I know.
Anyways, on that
note, good night. Thank you guys for listening to the Red Mist Podcast, hosted by Christian Abbott, Sean Abbott, and Nathan Lavin. It's produced by Christian Abbott, and music is by Alex Wart and Harrison Tate.